Okay guys, so Captain America Civil War is behind us. It is still the #1 biggest movie of 2016, whether it's superheroes or not, and it doesn't look like it's going to be knocked down until Star Wars Rogue One. But for now, we're going to settle down with some of the stuff that what if it happened in the movie. Now, numerous times throughout the history of the MCU, which is, believe it or not, only 8 years old this year, we've heard multiple confirmations and directors talk about some of the stuff they wanted to put into their movie that just didn't make it in there. Originally, the Hulk was actually supposed to turn gray halfway into Avengers Age of Ultron and have that fight versus, of course, the Hulkbuster, but that ended up getting changed because of confusion and due to, certain things happening. Now, of course, there was even products and merchandise made with the Grey Hulk, but that was a last-minute decision. And of course, once Spider-Man swung into the scene, we all started speculating on what are some of the things that could happen. Along with him, of course, came Thunderbolt Ross, the first time we've ever seen the character ever since his original debut in The Incredible Hulk. So we were all wondering, well, could he possibly end up being the Red Hulk? And are we possibly going to see Spider-Man suit up in the Iron Spider costume? Well, it turns out, just like the Wasp, who was actually going to be in the movie until she was cut because they wanted to save her for the sequel, the Red Hulk and the Iron Spider-Man were both considered. So this quote comes from Joe Russo, and he says, "We considered everything, obviously, but with so many characters in the movie as it was to try and entertain, adding another character and to get the Red Hulk, you have to add a backstory. You have to substantiate the narrative to get to that." Thunderbolt Ross, on our list of priority, he was there sort of as the government's agenda and not to add another complicated superpowered character to the mix. Now, obviously, when we look at Civil War, there is a reason it has such high praise from Hollywood and critics everywhere and fans alike. When you look at how much is going on in the movie, how many characters are returning or how many characters are making their debut, and what the complexity of the story is, you have to commend them for how good they were able to pull it off and pull off one of the tightest scripts ever seen in a comic book movie, considering this was the debut of a brand new character like Spider-Man and Black Panther. Throwing the Hulk in there, you would have had to take another 10-15 minutes to develop how he became the Red Hulk, and that would have, substantially took the story in a different direction, because then you have a whole nother problem and a whole nother being that is so high powered. And then going on to talk about the Iron Spider, when asked about including him, they said again, that falls into the category of anything's possible, and we considered everything. Now, we obviously heard multiple times that they were considering Iron Spider in some way, shape, or form. And this is one of those things where if you would have brought Peter Parker in there, and he shows up in the Iron Spider suit, and that's all we know him as, you take away that moment where he actually has to get that suit from a certain, story that builds up to it. If he just shows up in it, it loses all meaning. Not to mention that you want Spider-Man to be recognizable the first time you see him. You don't want him to have a brand new suit that's not recognizable as a Spider-Man costume. And yes, to us comic book fans, we know what Spider-Man looks like. We know the Iron Spider. We know the black costume. A lot of people don't. They know Spider-Man as Spider-Man. They think he's had one, maybe two costumes. They don't know he's had like 35 freaking costumes in the last 25 years alone, And so there's a lot out there that you have to go and be careful with. And it's one of those things we could probably see him, use a battle armor and it'll be the Iron Spider costume somewhere down the road, maybe in Avengers Infinity War. But for now, I'm honestly glad they kept the Red Hulk and the Iron Spider out of the movie, because I think they would have distracted too much from it. You guys let me know your thoughts on all this down below.